Okay, so imagine this for a second. You're walking around doing your normal day-to-day stuff, and there's something happening inside your body that you don't even realize. It's quietly causing damage, setting the stage for bigger problems down the road. And the crazy part? Most people have no clue. That's what prediabetes is. You see, it's not like one morning you wake up and boom, you're diabetic. Nah, it kind of creeps up. Your blood sugar's running higher than it should, but not so high that you notice anything dramatic. And that's the dangerous part. Now, the thing is, your body does give little clues, like small things you might just brush off as, oh, I'm just tired, or yeah, that's probably just age catching up with me. But those little signs, they matter. They're actually your body trying to warn you. So in this video, we're going to talk through those early warning signs, the ones most people completely miss. I'll explain why they happen, what's really going on inside your body when they show up, and how you can spot them before things get worse. And trust me, by the end, you're going to see these everyday symptoms in a totally different light. What prediabetes really means. So let's just break this down real quick. What actually is prediabetes? Because, a lot of people hear that word and think, oh, that just means I don't have diabetes yet, so I'm fine. But that's not really how it works. Here's the thing. Your body runs on sugar. Every bite of food you eat, especially carbs, eventually turns into glucose, right? That's your main fuel. Now, normally, your pancreas makes this hormone called insulin. And insulin's like, I don't know, the key. It unlocks your cells so the sugar can move out of your blood and into your muscles, your brain, everywhere you need energy. But when you've got prediabetes, that key, it's not working so well anymore. Either your cells are starting to ignore insulin, like they're not listening to the knock on the door, or your pancreas is struggling to keep up. And what happens? Sugar just starts hanging out in your bloodstream instead of going where it's supposed to. Now, here's where it gets tricky. At this stage, your blood sugar isn't high enough for doctors to stamp you with the official type 2 diabetes label, but it's higher than normal. And that middle ground, that's prediabetes. And I'll be honest, it's kind of a dangerous gray zone. Because look, you might feel totally fine. You might be going to work, chasing after grandkids, hitting the gym even. No symptoms, nothing dramatic. And that's why so many people miss it. But under the surface, the damage is already starting. Your blood vessels, your nerves, your eyes, they're all being exposed to more sugar than they should. And over time, that takes a toll. Let me put it this way. Prediabetes is like a smoke alarm that's starting to beep. Not loud, not the full-blown fire yet, but it's warning you, hey, something's off. You can ignore it and hope it goes away, or you can deal with it now before the flames get out of control. And here's the number that blows my mind. In the US alone, more than 80 million adults are living with prediabetes. 80 million, and most of them don't even know it, like no clue, which means by the time they do find out, their blood sugar has already crossed into full diabetes territory. But, and this is the hopeful part, prediabetes is actually reversible. Yeah, you heard me. If you catch it early, make some changes, diet, movement, stress, even just small tweaks, you can bring those numbers back down. You can give your body a chance to reset. So, bottom line, prediabetes isn't some harmless little phase. It's your body saying, hey, something's wrong with how we're handling sugar. And the earlier you pay attention to that message, the easier it is to turn things around. Constant fatigue and energy dips. All right, so let's talk about the first big red flag a lot of people miss. Constant fatigue. Like that tired all the time feeling you just can't shake. Now, I'm not talking about the normal tired you get after staying up too late binge-watching a show or pulling a long shift at work. No, I mean that weird, dragging kind of tired that follows you around even when you should have enough rest. Here's the thing. When your blood sugar's out of balance, your body's not using fuel the way it's supposed to. Remember what I said earlier about insulin being the key? Well, if that key's not working right, the sugar, the energy, stays locked out of your cells. So on paper, you've got plenty of fuel floating around in your blood, but your muscles and brain aren't getting it. And what do you feel? Exhausted, like your tank is always running low. And here's what's sneaky about it. Most people blame it on stress or age or, oh, I've just been busy. That's why I'm so wiped out. But if you're eating a meal and then like an hour later you're ready to crawl onto the couch and crash, that's not normal. That's your body struggling to process sugar the way it should. You see, another thing that happens is these roller coaster energy dips. You'll have a spike, like maybe you grab a muffin or a bowl of cereal in the morning and boom, quick energy rush. But then, your insulin kicks in hard, your sugar drops, and suddenly you feel sluggish, cranky, maybe even a little shaky. And that cycle repeats itself all day. Highs, crashes, and by evening, you're completely drained, even if you didn't do anything super physical. And here's the kicker. Your brain needs a steady stream of glucose to stay sharp. So when things are out of whack, you don't just feel physically tired, you also get that brain fog. You know the one. Can't focus, keep rereading the same email, forget what you walked into the kitchen for. Yeah, that. Now, I'll be honest, fatigue is one of the easiest signs to brush off, because who isn't tired these days, right? But the difference is in the pattern. If you're constantly drained, if rest never really seems to fix it, if you've got those weird afternoon crashes every single day, that's when you should stop and go, maybe this isn't just life. Maybe something deeper is going on. And again, I don't say this to scare you, but to wake you up a little, because your body's whispering here. It's saying, hey, we're not handling sugar right. Pay attention. And if you catch that whisper now, you've got a chance to turn things around before it shouts at you in the form of full diabetes. Increased thirst and frequent urination. Okay, so the next sign, and honestly one of the most classic ones, it's this constant cycle of being thirsty all the time and running to the bathroom way more than usual. Now, let me just say, everybody gets thirsty. You go for a walk on a hot day, you sweat a little. Of course you're going to want some water. That's normal. But the type of thirst I'm talking about with prediabetes, it's different. It's that kind of unquenchable thirst. Like you finish one glass of water and, you're already reaching for another. And it's happening even when you haven't done anything to make you dehydrated. So, what's going on here? Well, here's the science in plain English. When your blood sugar's running too high, your kidneys go into overdrive. They're trying to get rid of that extra sugar. But the only way to flush sugar out is through urine. So your body starts pulling water out of your bloodstream to help carry that sugar away. And what does that mean? You're peeing more, a lot more. And the thing is, when you're losing all that water, your body sends you a signal. Drink, drink, drink. That's where the crazy thirst comes in. It's like your body's desperately trying to balance itself out. Now, here's why most people miss this. They'll say, oh, maybe I just drank more coffee today. That's why I'm running to the bathroom. Or, I guess I'm just not drinking enough water. I should hydrate more. And sure, sometimes that's true. But if you notice this pattern where you're constantly sipping, constantly refilling your glass, and then constantly making bathroom trips, especially at night, that's a big red flag. And let's be real, nighttime trips are the worst. You're finally cozy in bed, you've just fallen asleep, and boom, you've got to get up. Not once, maybe 2, 3 times. That broken sleep alone will leave you exhausted the next day. But behind the scenes, it's your body trying to dump out extra sugar any way it can. And here's the part people don't think about. All that extra urination can actually make you dehydrated, even though you're drinking so much water. So now you've got dry mouth, maybe even dry skin, headaches, sometimes dizziness. And you get stuck in this cycle. Drink more, pee more, drink more. Look, I'm not saying every time you feel thirsty it means prediabetes. Sometimes you just need a bottle of water, right?
But if it's happening a lot, and especially if it's paired with that constant bathroom issue, it's worth paying attention to, because your body isn't just being annoying, it's trying to tell you, hey, sugar's too high, we need help here. So yeah, that never-ending thirst and bathroom marathon, it's not just an inconvenience. It could be one of the earliest warning signs that your blood sugar's out of balance.
Slow healing and frequent infections. All right, so this next one, honestly, it freaks people out once they notice it because it's not something you expect. I'm talking about cuts, scrapes, even little bruises that just take forever to heal, or infections that keep coming back when normally your body would have fought them off pretty quick. Now, let me explain what's happening here. You see, when your blood sugar's running higher than it should, that extra sugar is literally messing with your circulation. Your blood vessels, they get a little damaged, a little stiff. So oxygen and nutrients, the stuff your tissues need to repair, they're not being delivered as efficiently. It's like trying to water your garden with a clogged hose. The flow just isn't strong enough. And then, on top of that, high sugar weakens your immune system. It makes it harder for white blood cells, your body's little soldiers, to do their job. So, what happens? That paper cut on your finger doesn't close up as fast. That scratch on your leg stays red and sore way longer than it should. And infections? They love sugar. Bacteria and yeast thrive in that environment. So if you're getting things like gum infections, skin infections, or even those stubborn yeast infections more often, that's a huge clue something deeper is going on. Now, here's the tricky part. Most people don't connect the dots. They think, oh, maybe I'm just getting older, maybe my skin's thinner, maybe I'm not taking care of that cut properly. And sure, sometimes that's true. But if this is a pattern, like you notice every scratch, every little thing seems to linger, it's worth asking why. And let's be real for a second. Slow healing isn't just inconvenient. It can really mess with your quality of life. Imagine you get a blister from new shoes, and weeks later it's still not healed. Or you go to the dentist and keep battling gum irritation over and over. It wears you down. And for some people, it even leads to serious complications if ignored long enough. What I want you to hear is this. Your body is designed to heal. That's one of its superpowers. So when that process slows down noticeably, it's a sign the system is under stress. And in the case of prediabetes, that stress is too much sugar in the bloodstream. Look, I'm not saying every time you get a slow healing cut you should panic, but if it keeps happening, if you've noticed infections are more common, if you're constantly reaching for antibiotic creams or dealing with irritation that never seems to quit, don't brush it off. That's your body waving a big red flag. So yeah, slow healing and recurring infections, they're not just random bad luck. They're whispers from your body telling you your blood sugar balance is off, and it's time to pay attention before those whispers turn into something louder. Blurry vision and eye strain. Okay, so let's talk about the eyes for a second. Because one of the sneakier signs of prediabetes, blurry vision, and not the kind where you forgot your glasses at home. I'm talking about vision that seems to change almost day to day, and you're left going, wait, why did things look a little off right now? Here's what's really happening. When your blood sugar spikes, it doesn't just stay in your bloodstream. That sugar starts pulling fluid into and out of your tissues. And yeah, that includes your eyes. Your lenses can literally swell or change shape because of those fluid shifts. And when that happens, things look blurry. Sometimes it's up close, sometimes it's far away, and sometimes it even clears up after a while, which makes people think, oh, maybe I was just tired. But here's the scary part. It's not just a random blur. It's your body saying, hey, sugar's too high, and it's messing with sensitive parts of your body. The eyes are actually one of the first places high blood sugar likes to cause trouble. Now, let's be honest, most of us blame our vision changes on other stuff. Long day at the computer, bad lighting, age catching up, whatever. And sure, those things can play a role. But if you're noticing this pattern of your vision going in and out of focus, sometimes even within the same day, that's not just regular eye strain. That's a clue your sugar's out of balance. And here's the thing that really gets me. People don't realize how connected the eyes are to overall health. Like, your eye doctor can sometimes pick up signs of prediabetes or diabetes just by looking at the blood vessels in the back of your eye. Crazy, right? Those tiny vessels are super sensitive, and when sugar is hanging out in your bloodstream too long, it starts damaging them. That's why, down the line, diabetes can lead to serious eye problems like retinopathy. But before all that, the early whisper, it's usually blurry vision. And think about the impact. Driving becomes stressful, reading feels harder, you're squinting at menus or your phone more than usual, and because it comes and goes, you end up doubting yourself, like, maybe I'm just imagining this. But you're not. Look, I'm not saying every bit of blurry vision means prediabetes. Sometimes you do just need a new pair of glasses. But if the blurriness is showing up alongside other symptoms like fatigue, thirst, or slow healing, then you've got yourself a pattern, and patterns matter. So if you've been noticing that your vision's a little fuzzy, maybe even feels like your eyes are tired all the time, don't just chalk it up to age or screen time. That could be your body's way of flashing a warning light that your blood sugar isn't where it should be. Bottom line, your eyes are way too important to ignore those signals. Listen to them now before they're shouting at you later. Dark patches on the skin. Acanthosis nigricans. All right, so this next one, it's probably the most visible sign of prediabetes, but funny enough, most people either don't notice it or they just shrug it off as, dirt or maybe a skin thing that doesn't matter. I'm talking about dark, velvety-looking patches that show up on your skin. The medical name is acanthosis nigricans. Kind of a mouthful, but what it really means is your skin is telling you there's too much insulin floating around. Now, let's break this down. When your body becomes insulin resistant, remember, that's when your cells stop responding properly to insulin. Your pancreas doesn't just give up. No, it actually pumps out more insulin to try to force sugar into your cells. And when insulin levels stay high for too long, it triggers changes in the skin cells. They start to grow faster and build up extra pigment, and that's how you end up with these darkened patches. Where do they usually show up? The most common spots are the back of the neck, under the arms, and sometimes around the groin area. The skin looks thicker, kind of velvety, sometimes even a little itchy. And here's the thing, people don't think blood sugar problem when they see this. They think maybe it's just poor hygiene, or maybe from friction, or they just ignore it altogether. But listen, this is one of the body's most direct ways of saying, hey, we're struggling with insulin here. It's not just a cosmetic thing, it's an early warning sign that insulin resistance is already happening. And here's something interesting. Doctors often use this as a visible clue. Like if they see those patches on a patient's neck, especially if the person also has other risk factors like extra weight around the belly, it's a big signal to check blood sugar levels because the skin, in a way, is showing on the outside what's going wrong inside. Now, let's be real, dark patches on the skin can feel embarrassing. People try to scrub them off, cover them up, or just hope they fade. But the truth is, until you deal with the underlying issue, the insulin resistance, they usually don't go away. The good news? If you start making changes, if you bring your blood sugar and insulin back into balance, those patches can lighten up over time. So if you've noticed this on your neck or under your arms and it doesn't wash off, doesn't fade with lotion, don't ignore it. It might be your body waving the biggest red flag yet. Bottom line, acanthosis nigricans isn't just about skin. It's a visible warning light for prediabetes, and if you listen to it early, you've got a real shot at turning things around before it turns into something harder to manage. So yeah, when you step back and look at all of this, prediabetes really doesn't hide as well as we think. It whispers. Constant fatigue, that unquenchable thirst, cuts that just won't heal, the blurry vision, even those dark skin patches. Those are your body's way of nudging you, saying, hey, something's off, pay attention. Now, I know it can feel overwhelming, like you hear all this and think, oh great, now I've got to overhaul my entire life. But honestly, that's not true. Small steps make a huge difference. Things like cutting back on the sugary drinks, adding a short walk after meals, getting better sleep, finding ways to lower stress. None of it has to be perfect. It just has to be consistent. And look, I'm not here to scare you.
I'm here to remind you that prediabetes isn't a life sentence, it's a warning shot. And the earlier you listen, the easier it is to turn things around. So if you've noticed any of these signs in yourself, don't just brush them off. Talk to your doctor, get your blood sugar checked, and start making those small changes now, because your future self, trust me, they'll thank you for it. And hey, if this video helped connect some dots for you, or even just got you thinking about your health in a new way, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We share real, practical health tips like this every week, and I'd love to have you join the community. All right, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.